Welcome back to our special coverage as we continue to celebrate International Women's Day and women in hockey. Joining us is Leah Toffelmire, the athletic therapist with the Wellington Dukes, hoisted the Buckland Cup in 2018. Leah, so great to have you on the show again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
When we think about women in hockey, specifically in this area, your name comes up all the time. You have so many different things you're dealing with right now, whether it be with the Wellington Dukes or off the ice in the community. So before we get started, for folks out there who know, how did you get started?
Actually, the Dukes were looking for an athletic therapist the year I graduated from college, from the Sheridan AT program. And somebody sent a screenshot of their Twitter post. I'm not on Twitter, so I was kind of thinking, okay, and I applied to everything, you know, being fresh out of school, and hockey was not something that I was super keen on, but thought I'll apply and take a look. And Marty Abrams actually brought me in, and I took a tour of the room, and I was hooked pretty quick because it's a beautiful facility we have here, and 2 weeks into it, I was hooked on this team and hooked on hockey.
Yeah, where are you from originally?
Queenie West. Yeah, so I grew up more kind of on the Brighton border a little bit, but yep, born and raised. Yeah,
well, I feel like you and I kind of checked into the Wellington Dukes scene at the same time, and when I first came into the scene, people would ask, well, how really is it in the OJHL as women? Like, there's not many women around. How have you found it?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't really notice too much. Like, I kind of just do my thing. I want to make sure that I'm being the level of professional that I hold myself to. I hold myself to a high standard. So just trying to kind of gain the respect of the team and the other staff members. Everything else outside of the team doesn't really faze me too much. Basically, as long as I have the respect of my players and my staff, then that's kind of how I roll.
That's all you need. So what would be a typical game day for you?
Well, game day. So I like to be here about 3 hours before a game day, or before puck drop, sorry. So usually that's about 4:30. Some players come about that time too. It used to be my quiet time before the storm, but now the boys come earlier and earlier. And then it's just being available for if they need anything, pre-game taping, stretching, any sort of hands-on manual massage work. And then anything that the other team might need, so I try and touch base with the other trainers and just kind of come up with a plan if they need an ambulance or need my help out on the ice, kind of let them know how I like to do that. Assuming if they're not here that often too. I mean, this year we've been kind of playing a lot of the same teams, so they know how I run things here, or like to kind of organize things. And then get ready to go out for warm-up.
So when it comes to players that request some assistance or some taping, as you mentioned, do they come to you at any time, or do they have to book a slot, or does Derek Smith say, these guys need some assistance?
Yeah, so it's mostly that they just kind of come in and out as they need to. So I figure out the guys' routines and when they like to come and get taped. Sometimes it's my directive as well, depending what it is. But most of the time, I'm just try to hang out there, and when they come, they come. And it depends what the injury is. If it's something that I've been working with them for the season, I kind of give that direction if it's new to them, and then they come as they are ready.
So outside of the Dukes, what else are you doing in the community?
So I do have a day job, I guess we can call it. I work at a clinic in Trenton called the Trenton Integrative Health Center. So I've been working there the last 2 years. It's a multidisciplinary clinic where I have mostly massage clients, but I have the occasional athletic therapy client. So I work there, I guess, part-time, and then I'm here for practices and games, so filling my days.
Well, one of the things, you know, as women in the OJHL around men, you know, I do the long walk. I don't go down the hallway past the dressing room or anywhere Leah's area, because obviously different genders. So Leah, walk us through kind of how you manage that to make sure everyone's comfortable in the room.
Yeah, so I don't go into the dressing room if I can help it. I respect that that's the boys' space, and I have my space as my trainer's room, and I have certain rules around that. So when I first came to the team, I think being a female trainer was new to the boys, and so I said, you know, guys, if you don't, like, I just prefer that you don't walk around or even in the trainer's room, either like naked or in a towel, like just out of respect, and I won't go into your space knowing that that could be a potential as well. So I try not to put myself into those situations. So just respecting each other's spaces and boundaries.
So you mentioned though that you were the equipment manager for a moment during this season. So how did that work?
So that became a little bit difficult because obviously guys would want their skates to be sharpened at the end of the night. And I found sometimes I'd be sitting in the trainer's room waiting around and waiting for the guys to finish being in the dressing room and finish showering up and stuff, so that I wasn't walking in there grabbing a pair of skates. Just wanting to make sure that the guys were comfortable and not crossing any boundaries. So I would often just wait till the end of the night until guys were gone, and then I'd start my couple minutes or couple hours of sharpens. Yeah.
We've seen a lot of women in the hockey profession, whether on the ice or off the ice, break some glass ceilings when it comes to, you know, being in different roles and roles we might not see other women in. Where do you think women in the OJHL is going? Are more clubs, you think, open to having more women on the bench?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I didn't really look at that when I first joined. It wasn't something that I thought was overly taboo. And so I'm seeing it a lot more, for sure. But there's also, I get that there's like a logistics to that as well. Anytime we're spending an overnight, like that's one extra room you have to book. You know, whereas staff members might be able to share if they're males. So I get that teams may not want to go that route because of the logistics side of it. But I don't know, I think when it comes to working with the guys, it depends on personality, and I think if you can give the banter back a little bit and have that maybe tougher skin, like I think that's really fun, and really there's no kind of difference there.
Yeah, and I found that too, and I think that's a great way to end it. Once again, Leah Toffelmire from Wellington Dukes, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.